All right. We are live here on twitch.tv/Perry Von Vicious, as well as on my Instagram. And we're doing night 2 of working on the new Perry Von Vicious action figures. I got all the little pieces here. And in fact, I'm going to start pulling them down now so they're ready to go. We got our torsos. Everything's dry. We're definitely going to need at least one last coat of the flesh color. And we got our arms here. Oh, here's AG's in the Instagram chat, waiting for round 2. Well, welcome back, bud. Glad to have you. But I'm happy with the legs in particular. The paint on those is starting to come along real nice. And yeah, welcome to night 2. All right, got Twitch switched over to the big cam. Bobby Gilbert in the chat, Rye in the chat. Welcome everybody. All right, so we're kicking into gear here. Got a late start to my evening, running behind my skis as usual. All right, so we're gonna just hop right in. Not a lot of preamble here. I will say I think AG wasn't tuned in time last time, but I do have little mini versions of the grind belts that I've been working on that are looking pretty promising here. We got a green as well as a black. So those are going to come with the figures when they're ready to go. I'll show them on the Twitch as well. Nickabean's in the chat. Welcome, my friend. Nickabean's also over on the Instagram, dual screening it up. All right, so I think we're going to start on. We'll do the arms first. They tend to be a little bit tricky and a little bit slow moving, but I do want to get one more coat on here because the coverage is not really perfect. AG says the belts look awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right. This brush looks usable. Good enough. All right. I've mentioned it before. Stay cheap. Don't spend a ton of money on dumb things. The little bitty paint cups. Sleeve of them at Dollar Tree for $1.25. Bobby Gilbert says, "Hey, you're on time tonight." Technically, I started like a minute early. Unbelievable. Very not like myself. I'm usually only ever on time for one thing, and that's my bookings. All right. Got a squeeze of our paint there. And I am going to be thinning this down just a little bit. And the nice part about working with acrylics, they thin down with just some water. And if you weren't watching last night, or you don't remember, the reason I thinned down my second batch of acrylics is because I wanted to run in between the brush strokes of the thicker layers that are already laid down. Nickabean says, "I'm playing Fallout and listening to Perry." That sounds pretty good. Cody, welcome to the chat. Bobby Gilbert says, "Don't tell me what to do with my money." Hey, if you want to spend extra money on paper cups that you're just going to mix paint in, you know, it's a free country for now. All right. Get a little paint on the brush and see how we get on here. Start with the easier hands. Making sure I'm in frame on both shots here. This is the complicated part about streaming in 2 places on 2 separate cameras. I want to make sure everybody can see everything. Yeah, I think working up in the thin layers here has been the way to go. It's minimizing visible brush strokes. It's given me better coverage. You know, definitely it takes more time because you're doing more passes, but if there's one thing I got, it's time. Now I could splurge on, there are purpose-made paints for this kind of work. You can get them at hobby shops. You can get them online. But you know, for my money, you know, I like painting, so I don't mind doing a few extra passes. and I find that the color results I get with these are really nice. I mean, this one, this flesh color, that's very, very Perry flesh color. That's just a straight out of the bottle. I don't even have to mix that one up to find like a particular shade or anything. So, I like that. That's ease of use. And again, I think I paid 88 cents for the bottle of paint. Hard to beat that. All right, that hand is looking good. I think that might be full coverage on that hand. That one might be done after this. I like that. I'm not surprised to see AG tune into these because he is, like myself, a toy nerd. I've still yet to see his full collection. I saw a little bit at his place one time, but sometime I gotta see the full collection. In fact, the next time I'm out for Rad Pro, I gotta see Big Scott's collection. I understand it's a real thing of beauty. Troy Nelson and Johnny Torres were telling me about it, and I really wanted to see it. Yeah, these thin layers, this is the way to go. Especially letting the layers from yesterday have a full day's cure before I came back. Yeah, I'm liking these results a great deal. And again, some of these brush strokes, they're only visible because they're raised. Once I hit this with the clear coat at the end, I use a semi-gloss clear coat. It kind of replicates the look of the old Hasbros. They weren't super shiny, but they were a little shiny. Once I hit it with that clear coat, that covers a multitude of sins, if you will. All right, that's one down. Hang him up. I'm catching up on stuff on the chat here. See, Nicobene says, what kind of stuff are collected? Are you asking about what kind of stuff I collect specifically? Or I was sort of mentioning some other guys' collections. Was that what you were asking about? Yeah, this is definitely the last pass that these are going to need, and then the flesh color part is done. Come back with the black for the wrist tape and the elbow pads, and that'll be that. I'm real happy with how this is looking. I know not all of it will be picked up on the stream, but that gives you more incentive to make it out to a live show and see one of these toys in person. Pick one up at the merch table. I would love to have packaging for these, but I am such a DIYer that instead of buying the pre-made packages, which I've seen some are really nice, I think I'm actually just going to buy the components I need to make a vacuum former and make my own bubble packs. It's a pretty cool project. My dad actually wants to work on that with me. My dad's a nerd the same way I am. He's a mechanical engineer. I think most of my nerdy DIY make-it-yourself tendencies definitely seem to come from him. All right, I'm looking back at the chat. Okay, Nicobene says, the other collections, and do they collect the same type of toys? I need to display all of my stuff. I have too many boxes. Joey Nail says, sup nerds. Hey, Joey. Welcome, bud. Yeah, the other guys, it's their wrestling figure collections. My wrestling figure collection is mostly in boxes. Very little of it is displayed. And in fact, a lot of it is stuff that I'm going to be trying to part with soon because I really need I need the space more than I need the figures. I'm not really into the modern style, which is a lot of what I have from back when. I'm really more interested in the Hasbro style. That's really something about the look of them really just drags me in. I really enjoy how they look. That's why I designed my toys in that style. I like the simplicity of only a few articulation points. I like that a lot. The modern figures have mid double digits on articulation points. To me, that's a lot. That's really doesn't feel necessary. Let's see. Joey Nell says, "Can I come over and play with your toys sometime?" Uh, we'd have to dig them all out, man. The only ones I really have at the ready all the time are my monster truck toys, and those are definitely not for playing. Those are ones I'm trying to keep in a particular condition. I like the way they look. They're on display for me. I think my days of truly playing with monster truck toys may have passed me. But I'll always remember spending my childhood in the sandbox that my dad built that had a little thatched roof on it to keep my brother and I, who were both very fair skinned, from getting sunburnt while we were outside. Playing out there, making little hill climbs and stuff for my monster truck toys. Not a memory I need to relive as an adult, but one that I'm glad I have in the old memory banks. All right. This is where it can get really hard. This point where I've been getting a lot of coverage and working my way around, because I want to make sure I don't miss any areas. And it's real easy to miss. You're staring at the same toy for, minutes on end. Eventually it all starts to kind of look alike. All right, let's see. Trying to position these so they're not bumping into each other on my little drying rack. All right, let's get caught up on the chat. Bobby Gilbert says, giveaway soon for some of the figures you're thinking about getting rid of. Bobby Gilbert is always begging for free stuff, man. I don't know, Bobby. Maybe at some point I'll maybe look through some of the old figures and see like what I don't particularly want. A lot of it, I do have an eBay store that I run. So a lot of it, I'm definitely losing out on money if I just give stuff away. Doesn't mean I won't. All right, let's get the hand first on this guy. Maybe one day I'll be as rich as my old persona was, and I'll just start giving stuff away for free on stream. But as it stands right now, not if I can help it. I did a couple giveaways back around the holidays, and I've sent you some goodies. So once in a while, spread it out. Do it too often, it's not special anymore. Bobby Gilbert says, you're making sacks of money now, champ. I'm not totally sure you know how being a pro wrestling champion works, necessarily. Frankly, neither am I. And I've been a champion many times. I just, if I'm supposed to negotiate up once I have a belt, I'm doing it wrong. All right, looking pretty good here. Drew Nail says, someday Bobby won't be poor. And then Bobby Gilbert says, I went to Danhausen University. Man, that guy's got his got his demon paws in every kind of business, huh? He's running colleges now. Maybe we'll have to bring him into grind. I'll fight the Danhausen. Yeah, I'll be painting the figures here for the next hour and a half or so. Going to try to wrap up at a reasonable time tonight because I have got a workout ahead of me. It's back and buys tonight. Yeah, there's if I want to look like these darn action figures, I got to keep lifting. All right, I think that's looking good. Yeah. Get caught back up on the chat here. Nicobene says, please, I've never seen him live. Oh, hmm. Well, Drew Nail says, I hung out with him at Limitless last summer when he was hiding from the crowd. Bobby Gilbert says, screw you, I'll come to your house and put all your belongings where you can't reach them. Guys, come on. Come on. Everybody just be cool. Everybody just have a good time. Looking at you, Bobby Gilbert. Just everybody be cool. We're all friends here in the chat. Boy, this hand already has some pretty good coverage. I'm happy with that. It also shows how once the paint has started to dry, a lot of those brush marks really start to just kind of fade away. You don't really see them as much anymore. All the little brush strokes that were previously visible. Which I do worry about. I want these to look nice when they're done. That's the thing. Is like I could run these off in like a glow in the dark resin or something, and just sell them like that. Or I could put them under the airbrush and hit them with some color wave fade stuff. And I might do a run of them like that at some point. If someone wanted an alternate color wave. But right now, I'm trying to get all the details. I want these to look really nice. There's I've had great success at the merch table in the last 6-7 years, and part of that is that I don't sell things I'm not proud of. When I have a trading card, I've talked with the designer or designed it myself, talked with the printer, and made sure that it was going to be exactly what I wanted. I'm only going to sell things that I'm proud of. Because not only is my name on these things, but literally my face is on these. And you don't want to be associated with, some piece of garbage that someone bought because they were excited and then they got it home and realized, oh, this is kind of crap. I don't like this. I don't want to put this with my other figures. I don't want to wear this shirt, whatever it might be. You want your stuff to be good. I know our pal AG knows about that. He doesn't sell bad merch. You know, he's a merch-minded guy and has been, you know, the whole time I've known him in the business. I think part of that comes from being a collector. You know, when you've collected some of the stuff, 8x10s, programs, figures, trading cards, you know the experience of being the person who's going out and buying these things. All right, let's hang this guy up. There we go. Bobby Gilbert and Joey Nails bickering in the chat. I know he called you poor. We're all poor. Welcome to 2025, pal. Hey, listen. You might be poor in money, but just do what I do. Lift until you feel better. You can be rich in gains. Come on. All right. That's my life advice for the night. All right, let's work on one of these torsos. These are tricky to work on. It's hard to find a good spot to hold them by most of the time. I end up holding them by the head, which is okay, but all right. I like to start kind of thick with this paint. Yeah. This layer's giving me coverage that makes me happy. I got to remember to, while it's easier for me to work down low where I have a good view of everything, I got to keep this up on camera. Otherwise, why stream? I mean, other than getting the attention that I so desperately crave. I don't know if I've ranted about this recently, but it's one of my favorite little tropes in wrestling is people say, "Oh, what got you into wrestling? Why did you become a wrestler?" And everyone has all different answers. You know, they like to say, "Oh, I used to watch it with my grandma," or "Oh, you know, growing up, it just captivated me," or I was an athlete, and it felt like a fun way to express myself." You know, that's all crap. We're all in wrestling for the same reason. It is one word, 3 letters, 2 syllables. Ego. We want a room full of people cheering us, booing us, focusing on us, whatever it may be. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either deeply in denial or lying. And I know I have to be right about this because when I've said it in a room full of wrestlers, no one's ever tried to correct me. And there's no shame in that. Some of us require attention. I certainly do. Like I said, I'm here streaming for you guys on a Tuesday night. I could be upstairs in a comfy chair watching a movie. But instead I come here so I can hang out with the homies in the chat and stream to everybody. Be seen. Joey Nail says, I wrestle because there's no other medium that I can get attention I want the way I want. That's exactly the same thing I just said, just different words. It's ego. Although I disagree, Joey Nails. I think there are other mediums where you could get exactly the attention you needed. I think you could try your hand at stand-up. You could try your hand at acting. You could stream. There's all kinds of ways to do it. I've dabbled in basically all of those. And for me, wrestling might be the thing I was best at. I guess it would depend on who you asked. There's definitely some folks who would tell you I was better at stand-up. I did fine. I was happy with my work in stand-up comedy. Let's see. Bobby Gilbert says ego. Good, good. Think you're onto something there. We're all doing this for the egos. And Joey Nails says, not gonna lie, wanted to do stand-up, but I might not be immediately good at it, so why try? I wouldn't know anything about that. I've been kind of good at everything on the first try. Not because I'm terribly talented, but I think just dumb luck. The story of my first night. Oh wait, hang on. We got AJ Kirsch in the chat. Look at me, react to me. Hey buddy, the acknowledge me thing is real. Sorry, I hadn't looked over at the Instagram chat in a bit. Different environment though, different types of attention, different levels of power and commanding that attention. You're absolutely right. Being able to draw everyone's attention merely with words, and that's always the medium, and the validation of a room full of people laughing at something that you knew was funny in your heart, and they're now confirming that, is a very special thing to experience. You'll get no argument from me on that. And you don't have to bring a whole damn gear bag when you go do stand-up. I mean, unless you're a prop comic, I suppose. Shout out to the dearly departed Gallagher. All right, we're going to call that torso probably done. I think that coverage is looking really good. Hang him up to dry here. It's so funny how AJ Kirsch had to say a bunch of things in the chat over here before I noticed him. Hard cam, bro, hard cam. Man, I miss AJ Kirsch. One of the truly good dudes, one of the truly smart guys out in the California scene. I'm really lucky to have been able to work with him a few times. He was a riot, always fun to do promos with. My only wish was that I was in shape when he and I wrestled. I was still a pudgy, scrawny guy back in the day. He says we got heat now. Sorry, man. If you can't tell the direction my arms are coming off from the phone, two different directions. I'm also streaming on Twitch at the same time, so the Twitch hard cam gets a little bit more of my attention where the chat is concerned. But yeah, in a different life where we were coming up at a slightly different time, I think I'd probably be sitting here painting an AJ Kirsch figure, getting him ready for an appearance he'd be making. Because that is one thing I know is I have a few wrestlers who've inquired about having me make figures for them, and a few of them I still need to get back to. Been a busy day. My wife has the week off from work. Took the week off to work in the garden and record birds that are coming through. She's a big nature person, for those who don't know her and don't hear me talk about her that much. So she's got the week off doing that stuff. So I was with her on some hikes and unable to respond to some inquiries. Oh yeah, AJ, we would have had so much fun. You know, truth be told, if I was in the kind of shape I'm in now, you know, they would have seen one match you and I put on together, and they would have paired us together for a year. I really, you know, it's the great regret of my time in wrestling that the first 10 years I was in the business, I never had trouble with my wind, but I just didn't look the part. And I wasn't huge and strong and throwing people around. Like, I never had trouble picking people up, but it wasn't like now. Now I can do big stalling moves and power stuff. It's a different world. Hey, Mr. Man in the chat on Twitch. Good to see you, bud. See, Bobby Gilbert in the chat, AJ. Bobby Gilbert in my Twitch chat wants me to ask AJ Kirsch, does he still have the Rock the Promo Championship? And AJ, I see your questions. I'm going to get to those in just a sec. But do you still have the Rock the Promo Championship? I feel like you must. I can't imagine you parting with that thing. Front of torso looks good. We'll get the back here. AJ Kirsch says, "Who do I have to eliminate to get a Broseph Joe Brody figure?" We'll talk, man. My rates are exceedingly reasonable, although my delivery of figures can be a little bit slow, just because I need to wait for the printers to run. AJ Kirsch says, "I'm not particularly sentimental when it comes to material possessions." So maybe he doesn't have the belt anymore, Bobby. AJ also asked me, what was the catalyst for the change? What changed that I got in shape? It was a few things. Part of it, I think, was definitely when I'd moved back to Massachusetts. I suddenly had the job I came back to. I was working at Smith College, so I had free use of their gym, and that helped a lot. Having full access to a really nice gym, and because it was a women's college. This is a huge generalization, but I was lifting heavy weights because I'm 6'3" and big, and I was lifting some heavy weights that the college students really weren't touching there. They were all 19-year-old girls. They weren't lifting the weights I was lifting. So I had free run of all the stuff I was doing. Okay. There's more to AJ Kirsch's answer. In fact, one of my favorite things to do every 6 months or a year is review what I've kept over my career and deciding what to hang on to and what to get rid of. But I am never, never, never getting rid of the Rock the Promo Championship. So there you go, Bobby Gilbert. He definitely still has the Rock the Promo Championship, which is honestly so cool. AJ Kirsch did a lot of cool things right around the time I knew him. He had Rock the Promo. He had done Tough Enough. I think I first met AJ right after he had come off of the Tough Enough show. And that was the only thing I knew about him. He and I had not crossed paths before that, and all I knew was, oh yeah, he just did Tough Enough. And I remember thinking, like, wow, APW must think pretty highly of me. They got this guy who was just on TV, and they're letting me work with him. That's really cool. They must like me. I thought it was an honor. Little did I know AJ Kirsch was just one of the boys. just a really cool guy who was doing cool stuff. That said, it was an honor to work with him. We had a really fun match. Beat me with a Stone Cold Stunner, if memory serves. Stone Cold Stunner and a top rope elbow drop. But yeah, the catalyst for the change to get in shape was partially just access to a good gym. Also, leaving California meant that my rent and that later my mortgage that we have now was much more affordable, so I could spend some money on things like supplements and food specific to my diet, all those kinds of things. And that let me make a lot of changes that were long overdue, that I should have done years earlier. And I've never looked back. It also helped that I was hanging around, touring and teaming, and sometimes competing against Rip Bison, who is a decade younger than me and a power lifter. Um, I've personally watched him put 700 pounds on a yoke walk and walk it around his house in East Hampton for cardio. It's insane. It's crazy. Hey, Herobotic in the chat. Hey, buddy. Broseph Joe Brody is how I discovered Hood Slam. Hey, that's awesome. AJ, you got some fans going on over here. All right. I'm kind of looking at these legs and thinking, like, I could probably get away with leaving them as is. I'm going to do one more coat just in case. I am going to thin this down just a little. I think sitting out, it started to dry a little bit. So just a little bit of water in there. Not much. I literally did like 2 drops. Yeah, I mean, AJ, I'm sure you could attest to this. Having a good workout partner, having someone around who pushes you, and having someone that you can talk to about things like diet and your goals really helps. And you know, I can't say enough nice things about the handful of people I've trained and worked out with over the years. Brad Hollister, Justin Tunis, Channing Thomas, Rip Bison, you know, all of them had a hand in me getting into shape. I was already getting more into shape around the time that I worked with AJ Kirsch. That was when I'd gone from being a 300-pound fat guy to I lost 110 pounds in 10 months in 2010. And I wrestled AJ Kirsch when I was at some of my skinniest in the business. At the time we wrestled, I probably weighed 190 pounds. And yeah, on a 6'3" frame, it didn't read quite right. It didn't read wrestler. It could have read athlete for sure. All right, I'm catching up on AJ's chats here. He says, having resources like that absolutely helps, even if they're not there with you. Just somebody to ask questions and bounce ideas off of. I completely agree. And congratulations on taking charge of your health and completely turning it around. Thank you, AJ. I really appreciate it. And you know, I had guys out in California like you and like big Dylan, the Golden Boy, Dylan Drake, who were always helpful. Adam Thornstowe of the Reno Scum was always helpful. You guys were guys I knew I could always ask about that stuff, and you were all very positive when I talked about trying to get in better shape. If I posted online or anything, you know, you guys were always quick to like it. So having even a distant support system like that of people you're not necessarily super close with makes a huge difference. All right, yeah, those legs are looking good. I think that's the last layer of flesh color the legs are going to need. Feeling good about that. Great coverage there. We're almost done with our flesh tones. We're going to get to move on. I think we're probably going to take care of the arms because they're getting painted black. That usually only takes 1 coat. So we're going to take care of the wrist tape and elbow pads, and then we'll come back to these and take care of the knee pads and knee pads and boots, which are also just black. So that's some of the easy stuff. Then we got to get on to the head. The heads have a lot of detail. We got to do the beards, the hair, the eyes, and the mouth, which is a lot of very fine little work. But that can be some of the most fun stuff. I will say the paint process for these figures is much longer than my last set of figures, because the last set of figures I printed in a flesh-colored resin. That resin, though, didn't really behave the way I wanted. I found it to be more brittle than I would like. So I went with a different kind this time. It's sort of this is a mix of a transparent and a dark gray. AJ Kirsch says, and we love talking about stuff like that when people ask us. It's so true. I get asked that stuff now too. I've run Trunks and Boots, Trunks and I'm catching up on the other chat as well. Oh man, I got a lot to answer over there. It's the same for me when I've run seminars out here. One of the things I often get asked, and Rip gets asked as well, we've run seminars together, is about weightlifting routines, different workouts that people can do. If we recommend different supplements, or what our diets look like. AJ Kirsch, I'm sure, could back me up on this. Diet, the working out is important. Absolutely. You can't say it's not. The change doesn't really happen without it. But to get looking like a pro wrestler, air quotes, like a pro wrestler, is like 90% diet and 10% workout. Once the workouts start happening, they're happening. You're going to hit those workouts. But the diet, you can fall off diet any day, and it's so easy to backslide, and it's hard. It's a big change for a lot of people. All right, so that's the legs. I think we're calling it on the flesh color. I think my coverage on all the parts is looking good. I can always go back and hit a little bit more if I find a patch once it dries. AJ Kirsch says, how you fuel yourself is probably 80 to 90% of the entire equation. Exactly. I completely agree. And it doesn't mean you have to eat boring food. Not at all. But the more simple you keep the diet, the more easy it is. You can replicate it. You have to look at it like science. You really can't treat it like a guessing game or an art. You have to pick a diet, stick with it long enough to see how your body responds, and then you can alter it. It's you're eliminating variables. See, AJ Kirsch says, also Steve Austin told me on Tough Enough, you can't outwork a shitty diet. I heard that said by one of my coworkers at Smith College, who said you can't outrun a bad diet. And I like it in both ways. I like both ways that that's described. All right, I'm looking back at the Twitch chat now. We're going to get caught up there. Let's see. Herobotic says, not meant to sound like Buster, but that's who I am. Hey, brother. Have you thought about making a Trash Man action figure? I would, but I honestly have never watched Sunny. So, never watched Always Sunny. When my schedule gets somewhat stabler, I'd love to exercise with you and lose a buttload of my butt. Hey, man, you know where the house is. The gym's right behind me. Absolutely. We'll make that happen. Let's see. Joey Nails says, Trunks and Boots. I need a workout enforcer. I'm not sure being a buddy would work. That's Nickabean says that. Herobotic says, oh my god, dude, you have to watch Always Sunny. What streaming service is that on? Because I think it's pretty likely I don't have access to it. All right, we're going to start on these arms, which means it's time to clean this brush off. This brush is pretty fine tipped. I think we're going to stick with it for now. Although, I see another one that looks like it comes to a pretty good fine point. We'll see. Hulu at the moment. Yes, that does mean Disney Plus has it, because I have everything that's on Hulu via Disney Plus. Noted. All right, let's take our black. We need one of our Dollar Tree cups. Let's see, catching up on AJ's chats over here. One of the hard parts about eating clean is you have to stick with it long enough to make sure you are seeing the results your habits are getting you. I completely agree. One thing that I've found that I really, and it might just be my body tends to respond quickly to change, is if I get on my game, not missing workouts, usually 2 a days. I like to do a round of cardio midday outside in the sun, And then I like a late night workout. That's not for everybody. Um, if I'm doing both of those and I'm sticking to my diet, eating my planned meals, not snacking in between, and drinking enough water, uh, in a week to 2 weeks, I can see visible change on myself. Now, that's going to change over time because I'm no spring chicken. I'm a few months from turning 41. And so I know that that's not going to always be the case. As I get older here, the metabolism's going to slow. It's going to be a different ball game altogether when it comes to how fast or slow I see changes in myself. And I understand that. These are pretty similar. Oof. Let's see, how do I like this? Is this good? Yeah, this might. It's kind of stiff. I'm messing with brushes trying to see. These bristles are really stiff, which means they'll hold their point well. So I'll be able to get some fine tip stuff done here, but that also means they're going to leave stiffer brush marks. So I might need to see if I have anything a little bit softer but fine tip. This is pretty soft. That might work. We're gonna try a few different things here and see what we do. Let's see. Catching back up over on the Twitch chat here, I am gonna thin this out just a tiny bit, like literally like a drop. AJ Kirsch says, "Hey, fuck you! I'm already 41." I mean, you're only a couple of months ahead of me. So, July is the cutoff for me. That's when I hit that age. All right, let's grab this. We got a few different mixing sticks here. I can always reach for more if I need them. Yeah, aging is hard. But it's not so bad. Yeah, Rye in the Twitch chat says I turned 41 last month. Yeah, we're all right around the same age. The thing is, I'm in better shape now than I've ever been. So, I mean, if you had looked at me through most of my 20s, I was in terrible shape. I had a brief period where I was looking pretty good, if not a little bit underweight. But yeah, I definitely look better now to my eye. Everyone has different goals and different ways they want to look. Not everyone is going to want to be a 245-pound guy who looks like he lifts weights. That's not the look for everybody. That's the look I've chosen for now. All right, let's get a nice tight grip on this, and we're gonna. Oh yeah, great coverage with the black. That might not need a second coat. We might get away with one coat on that. Oh, that looks good. That makes me happy. Yeah, this brush is earning its keep right now. I picked wisely. If everyone hears the whir of my FDM filament printer running behind me, a keen ear will notice that I keep referring to these prints as resin prints. These are printed in 3D UV resin. The other printers I have run a plastic filament. It comes as basically like a spool of kind of a thick plastic rope that gets run. Oh yeah, one pass gets the black on there. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, AJ Kirsch says same, best consistent shape of my life right now. Oh yeah, and All Monster is in the chat and says empathy on the allergies, dude. Keep rocking. Just wanted to say hi. Thanks for popping in, bud. Yeah, the allergies have been kicking my butt. Anyone who hears me talk a lot can probably hear it in my voice on the stream here. I'm going to take a quick glance at the Twitch chat as well. Joey Nell says we're all ancient. Fair enough. Rise 41, Bobby Gilbert's 31 later this year. Herobotic 41 in February. Rise says, but happier than I've ever been. That's the most important part. Herobotic says, better than the 230-pounder who does not look like they lift weights. Hey, you're still lighter than I am, though. Nicobene says, would you show us how the UV resin works? So the UV resin is a little difficult to show, especially on the Twitch stream. We're kind of fixed in place. I can explain it a little bit. The UV resin comes as a liquid in a large tub. And then my machine has a vat that holds a bunch of it. And there's a build plate that lowers down into that resin so that the distance between the bottom and the top is only one layer of this build. And then a UV light comes through an LCD screen at the bottom of that vat in the shape of what needs to cure in that level, that layer. And it repeats that process layer by layer. The layers are 0.2 millimeters thick, so very, very thin. It repeats those layers until the piece is completed. It is actually pretty quick because it only takes a couple seconds of exposure for that resin to cure. So it's a fairly quick process compared to the filament printer. The filament printer, depending on the size of the piece you're making, can take days to make a piece. Now, if I was to print these figures on the filament printer, there'd be some issues I would run into. But it would probably take, this is the tallest piece, that would probably take 7 or 8 hours. Currently, the way I have my resin printers running, it takes about 5 hours to print an entire figure, all the parts. That's very fast. Checking over on the Instagram chat. AJ Kirsch says, everyone gets older, but we can choose to get better. I completely agree. That's absolutely been my experience. Time is undefeated, but we as people yet to be determined. Yeah, using a dark color is so nice. Just great coverage. One pass. We're not going to need two. We're not going to need a second coat of this black, and that makes me real happy. That means these arms are going to be done. They'll just be awaiting their clear coat. But yeah, the filament printer, once I finish this arm, I'm going to show you what the filament printer is working on. I can tell you now. The filament printer is working on this same figure, but printed 2.5 times larger, 250% bigger. And that is so I have a great big version of this figure that I can put on my merch table that people can see from clear across a venue to draw them in. Yes, I will have a price if someone wants to buy the giant figure, but I can assure you it's not a price anyone's going to want to pay. I'm pricing it specifically so that I don't have to make another one. But if someone really wants it, they're going to get it. All right. Yeah. There we go. Elbow, sleeve, and wrist tape. Heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to hang that up on my little makeshift rack to dry. AJ Kirsch is back in the chat again, says, hey man, I got a jet, but I enjoyed popping in, learning about this process, and briefly reconnecting. Have a great rest of your night, and a good night to the Twitch channel as well. Appreciate all of you. Thanks, AJ, man. It was a blast talking with you. I hope everyone in the Twitch chat enjoyed the banter with AJ. He's truly, I can't say it enough, one of the people I enjoyed the most in my time in California. Just a gem of a person. He deserves all the success that he's had. Catching up on the Twitch chat now. Joey Nail says, as old Perry used to say, everybody has a price. That's true. I am going to reveal now, because I have the first piece of the massive Perry done. If I'm setting it down, killing the vibe. but I'll show it on Instagram. And now here on the stream, I'm gonna have a gigantic Perry that'll go on the merch table. Yeah, it's gonna end up standing a little over 15 inches tall when all is said and done. So I'm very excited for that. It's gonna look really cool. And you can see a lot of the details real clearly on this version. I really like how it came out. But yeah, right now it's printing the legs. they're so big. That's going to run for a while back there. So that this piece here took 38 hours to print, and it will have the movable parts. That's what all the pieces are there. It'll have all 3 points of articulation. Um, the legs are currently printing. They're supposed to take, I think, 28 hours or something like that, and then each arm is going to take well over 24 hours. So it's like a 5-day print all told. Taking a quick hydration break while we're between pieces here. Bobby Gilbert wants to know, how much will one of the big ones cost? Well, I put some thought into that. These figures, the standard figures here, I'm going to be selling for $40 a piece. And as you've all seen, there's a great deal of work that goes into them. So I feel a $40 price point is pretty fair. The big one, though, the number of machine hours that it runs, and I am going to hand paint it as well, and I don't really want to sell it. I want it to stay on the merch table. I'm going to be using what in the business they refer to as the fuck off price. That's for Danhausen. I know he wanted me to swear. So I'm going to be asking $100 even for the giant Perry. And if someone wants to give me $100 for it, I'll make another one for the table, and they can have the big one. I'll even sign it. It's big enough. It's got plenty of room for a signature. But yeah, the giant Perry is going to be $100 on the merch table. If someone wanted to order one that I had to ship, looking at you, Bobby Gilbert, it'd probably have to be a bit more than that. Oh, Herobotic says 130. Maybe it's 130. You know what? It's 130. Herobotic said. For those who don't know, Herobotic is my business manager. I'm poor, so he's not doing a great job, but I do listen to him. Yeah. Oh, man. It is a joy using some of the darker colors on here because the coverage is outstanding. The feeling of one pass with the brush and it's done after taking, fully 3-4 coats of the flesh tone. This is a joy to work with. What brand is this? It's the same. I think it's the same brand. Craft Smart. Oh, the other one's Apple Barrel. Well, maybe Craft Smart's the way to go. Take a note if you're looking for easy to use acrylic paints. That might be the answer. See, Bobby Gilbert says, "Wow, Mega Perry in my figure promotion." Yeah, I think you're right, Nicka Beans. I think it's definitely going to be more time. It's more material. I will say, it's been a joy to watch it print. Every morning when I come down and I can see how much further that one is along on the printer back there, it's cool. Like, it's really cool. The fact that it looks just like the little one, only huge, is so cool. If someone does end up buying it, I'm definitely going to have to make more because eventually I'm just going to want one to go on my shelf. I mean, it's big enough. Perry for scale. It's big enough. If I put the full finished piece, it's going to be, big. It's going to look really cool on a shelf. Hey, Dr. Redacted watching the stream over on Instagram. What's up, buddy? For those who haven't seen, Dr. Redacted's coming to Blitzkrieg Pro. That is May something. What's the date on that? May 24th is Grind, I think. So it's a week earlier. The 14th? No, 16th? 15th? All right. Let's continue on with the Perry arms here. We got to paint in our wrist tape and elbow pads. May 17th is the best guess that it's going to go by on my ticker over on Twitch that I have running. But yeah, okay. Cody Brooks just saw it, says it's the 17th. Rye says, I hope I get to photograph that. I hope you get to photograph that too. Your pictures are always awesome. Yeah, Dr. Redacted just tuned in. I'm going to show him. I'm printing a gigantic version of my Hasbro toy. It's going to be a little over 15 inches tall. I hope to have that on the merch table by the Blitz show. That'll be cool. I also have my little grind replica belts for my little Hasbro figures. Pretty psyched. Rye says, I love that the show's named after a Menzingers song. I can assure you Johnny Torres agrees with you. I saw the Menzingers opening for the Dropkick Murphys with Johnny Torres. He was happy. That was a happy guy watching that band. Bobby Gilbert says, are you going to be wrestling Steve? I am not. Steve, our beloved Dr. Redacted. Ooh. Oh, no way. Dr. Redacted will have figures with him at that show, too. Doc, you and I might have to do a figure exchange. Yeah, Bobby wanted to know if I was wrestling the good doctor at Blitzkrieg. I am not. I am in the last chance battle royal to get added to the finals for the Blitzkrieg Pros the crowning of the Blitzkrieg Pros inaugural Scramble Champion. And I hope I win, because I would love to add another belt to the collection here. But the match that is happening for Dr. Redacted at that show, what a match. He is going one-on-one with Donovan Dijak in an infirmary something or other match. Infirmary warfare or something like that. Basically, it sounds like it's just a no DQ match as far as I can tell. And man, I knew about that before it was announced. The good doctor and I were chatting offline. And am I excited for that. Yeah, that's right, Bobby. That's gonna be some wild stuff. Bobby says Perry 2 belts. Let's hope, man. Wouldn't that be cool? Approaching 41 and a double champion in my 2 home promotions. All right. That's looking good. Yeah. Coming right along. Dr. Redacted says your name for the match is way cooler. Perry Von Belt Collector. You know, let's hope so. Let's hope so. I'm real happy with that grind belt, man. That thing is real pretty up close. Sometime soon I'm going to do a live stream where I clean it up and polish it, because that was one of the first things Rip said to me when I won. He said, I hope you'll polish it, because Skyros never did. That sounds like a knock on Skyros. It is not. He's a busy guy. But yeah, I would live stream polishing a championship belt. I think that's cool. Break out the Dremel with some polishing heads. Got to warn anyone who has Infirmary Street Fight. That's what it is. Cody saw it a couple hours ago. Thank you, Cody. I cannot tell you how happy I am with the coverage of this black paint. It was so many coats to get the flesh color to look right. And this is going to take one pass with the black and we're going to be done with it. If anyone sees me looking jumpy, it's because last night when I was working out down here, I saw a mouse. So anytime I hear a sudden noise near me, I kind of look around my feet like, is it back? Yeah, that's the thing. We get mice in the basement because they don't dare go upstairs. Because upstairs we got 3 cats. All former shelter cats. Cats that had to fight for their own. They are murderous. I'll say of our 3 cats, the one that's the most dangerous is the one you would never expect it from. His name's Huffy, the little fluffy white puff. And when he gets a hold of a mouse, he does not simply kill it. He obliterates it into bits and spreads them all around. Eats none of it, just sends a message. All right, let's see. Street Medic Brawl is what Rye says. Putting together minis and my hands are covered in dried super glue at the moment. Yeah, that sounds right. Joey Nail says, Perry, what are your thoughts on adopting a stray? I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. If you do, you got to get it to a vet right away. You got to make sure that it is spayed, neutered, distempered, and get all its vaccinations. Get some blood work done on it. Be very careful when you first capture it. If you have pets already, don't let it near them because they could have things that are transferable until you've brought it to a vet. But otherwise, I don't see a problem with it. For me, I've always kind of gone directly to shelters. But you know, I don't see adopting a stray to be a problem at all. I think that's a fine thing to do. The last thing I would ever do is go to a pet store or a breeder or anything like that. That's a terrible idea. Don't support that. Let's see, Dr. Redacted says I should get Dr. Redacted ponchos for that show. Oh, it's gonna be, that's a lot of. How much bleeding are you planning to do, Steve? You left a few gallons of blood in Vegas, as it looked. I mean, saw you hanging out of dune buggies and hitting people with light tubes and stuff, and just redecorating a parking lot with your crimson red internal fluids. Rye says, I love adopting. Would have them all if I could. I don't blame you. See, Joy Nail says, no, like, used to be a stray, but it's at a humane society. Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to go. For me, that's the only way to go. We have one cat that didn't come from a shelter. It came from a friend of the family who could not keep him anymore. And he was a trauma case, and he is the worst cat we've ever had. He's come around. He's a good boy now. My wife got him happy and in good health and turned his life around completely. He went from living in an 8-year-old's box spring where he was terrified of the dogs in his house to being a happy little fluffy lump that sits on our couch or sits on my wife's desk while she works. And while he does not get along with my favorite cat, Twos, he's still a good cat. See, Dr. Redacted talking about blood loss in that match says, brother, way too much was lost that day. And then also says, also shout out to adoption. That's right. The good doctor knows. Even the murder surgeon knows. Adopt away. Yeah. All right. So we're coming back to these legs here. And this was a discussion on stream yesterday. That's right. Herobotic had to go to a breeder, but it's because of a particular pet allergy, and they needed a specific breed. There's exceptions to every rule. Absolutely. And your cat's freaking adorable. Who's going to fault anything you did to get that cat into your life? These legs were a discussion point on stream yesterday because there is a small gap between where the boot ends and where the knee pad begins. And usually you'd be able to see my sock there. And I'm debating if I paint a little white in there for where my sock should be, or if I just make the whole thing black for ease of production. I think I'm going to be difficult, and I think we're going to put some white in there. Why do I do things the hard way just because I insist on things looking nice? Out of my mind. What am I doing? Joey Nail says paint it black. Obviously a big Rolling Stones fan. I am going to do the white. If I don't like how it goes, I can always put the black over it once it dries. All right. And this I'm not going to thin out at all. It's it looks pretty good to my eye. Let's see. I need something fairly fine tipped, but with some give in it. Yeah, this might work. Yeah, Nicobene says start white, and if you hate it, black over it when it dries. Yeah, I completely agree. All right, we're gonna get some on there, not too much, because I don't want to smear to where it's not supposed to be. We'll start on the back where the gap is a little. Ooh, yeah. You know what? This is a brand thing. I think I've discovered that certain brands get much better coverage because this white is getting really nice coverage on the primer here. Way better than the flesh color did. Now I am going kind of heavy with the coat, so that might be the issue. Plus I can get a little messy with this because the edges are going to get cleaned up when I paint the rest of that black. And if there are any brush strokes in here, they're just going to make it look like that sort of sock cotton material. So not so bad. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see. Let's see. Joey Nails says, or we paint one white and sell it for double as a chase figure. Rye says, oh, it's wild the difference between print quality sometimes. Yeah, or paint quality sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm surprised because these are all sort of the same kind of crappy, the same kind of crappy craft store paints. So I would expect them to be all very similar. They're all like the same price point, same style bottle and everything. They're all just that big bulk section in Walmart, or sometimes it spills over and you get them in like the Dollar Tree. Yeah, it's a little work to get this, but I think that's going to be an important little detail when it's all said and done, seeing that little bit of sock show through there. Yeah. All right. Set that aside. Bobby Gilbert, what are you talking about? You're going to need to explain that. I don't understand what you're referencing. I mean, truth be told, it's really like about half the time I understand what anyone's referencing. So you might not be the problem. It might be me. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, I think that little bit of white is going to make a pretty big difference. It was the right choice. It was the right way to go. Oh, 2K25. Are there janitors in that game? Boy, I have not played a modern wrestling game in a long time. I don't even know. Wait, is there a character who's a janitor? Is Duke the Dumpster Drosy in that game? Wish Troy Nelson was in the chat. He'd be losing his mind for a Duke the Dumpster reference. Although I fear in 2025 it's a reference not many will know or care about. Different times, different times. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, I can get a little messy with that and not feel bad about it. Alright. Let those dry out a bit. It's in my GM. Oh, that's I've read about this. That is a mode in those games. Again, I have not played a modern wrestling game I've not played a modern wrestling game since before I started wrestling myself. Dr. Redacted says, oh man, yeah, he was gifted the Michelangelo Macho Man figure. You did tell me about that. I think you sent me a picture. And then he says about the modern wrestling games. Dudes, same. They don't look very appealing. Modern wrestling games, at least. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I tend to. I even go back a little further than the most modern that I would have played. I really prefer the N64 games. Like, I don't know. It could just be. Maybe I'm just an old man or whatever. But those are the games that make me smile. You know? I have no shame about it. All right. Let's. I gotta let those socks dry before I can do any more on those torsos. So or any more on those legs. Let's break out one of these torsos, see how we dried. Yeah, I think that's looking good. I'm happy with that. The coverage is all right. I think we're ready to try some hair and beard on this guy. And I'm going to need a fair bit of control on that. So I'm going to need like a real specific brush. Let me see if I have it on my great big brush rack here. There was one brush that I really used to like for this kind of thing. If I can't find it, I might have to make one. This one's got a bunch of old paint gunked in it, which is not necessarily a problem. Yeah, I'm going to run with this for now. But we are going to customize this brush before I use it. I need X-Acto knife. Let's see. Dr. Redacted says, do games like TEW or those other games where you got to be the booker on the internet still get updated? I don't know if those still get updated. I know I have a few friends out here who still play those games. Dr. Redacted also says, I still stand by Fire Pro for PS2 being the best, followed by No Mercy. You know what's great is Fire Pro 2 basically got an upgrade where they changed nothing. They just added more. The Fire Pro World that you can play on PC. There's a huge creator environment online where you can download everybody. And since it's on your PC, you have unlimited save space. I'm certain there are some Dr. Redacteds on there too. And it's a very cheap game. I got it for very little. I have enjoyed it a great deal. I should play that on stream again sometime. All right, checking back on the Twitch chat here. Let's see here. Herobotic just posted a 0. Okay. Bobby Gilbert says, if I had a gaming PC, I'd be playing wrestling games from when I was a kid. Absolutely. Oh, I see. Mooney sent that. The cat sent the 0. Outstanding. Glad he's in the chat. Rai says, Fire Pro mod scene is wild. So much content. Absolutely. When I was in Japan, a fan back here made myself and Rip and the Kyushu ring to match how we were looking while we were in Japan. All right. So I need to make this about that long. So I'm just going to get my... you know what? I got an easier way to do this. Got my little nippers here that are still new and sharp. That's what I need. Okay, because I need a nice little short brush that I can trust not to bend, and that's going to be the one. Sometimes you got to customize your tools. Don't be afraid to do that. That's a life hack. You can customize your tools. Let's see, Dr. Redacted says, the update sounds sick. It really is. I have an old stream where I played it a bit. Dr. Redacted also says, ask your friends about the updates on those other games. Yeah, over in the Twitch chat, if you guys know the games where you basically just played GM back in the day, it was just a booking sim. There's a few different ones. Do you guys know if they've done updates on those? All right, I got to clean this brush off before it gets all gnarly on me. Joey Nail says, I'm the only person to ever online game with PVV, for the record. I hold this achievement at high regard. That's true. We played some Monster Jam Showdown together. I don't know, Doc. I'm not getting any response. It's possible that they don't know any of those games, but my friends who did used to play them, I will ask around. Brad Hollister was a big proponent of those games. Justin Tunis, the Hammer Tunis, used to play those games a lot. I can ask them about it. Oh, Joey Nail says, I play a modern day one that has a bunch of people from Chaotic like PVD and Aggro. What game? Tell us what it's called, man. That sounds like it probably has a lot of cool characters in it. Alright, my King's Gold is back to that apple barrel that took multiple coats. I wonder if this one will behave better than the flesh color. Guess we're about to find out. I think it's legit just Pro Wrestling Simulator. Really? Yeah, apparently there's one called Pro Wrestling Simulator that might be it. That one might work. That one might be what Dr. Redacted's looking for. Nicobene says, I can only challenge all of you to Puzzle Fighter. Oh, cool. Someone's on there telling me where the cheap viewers are. Hell yeah. Bot on stream. Let's go. Oh, it's on Steam for free or very cheap, Joey Nails says. Well, that is a price that I appreciate. All right, let's pour out some of the beard and hair color here. Thankfully, I only have to color the beard and hair on my action figures, not on my actual self yet. I'm going to thin this just a little, just a little. I don't want to overdo it. That still has some. Where's my paper towels? Oh, did I put them back? I put them back over for my resin printing. Yeah, I'm. For those in the know, I am in production on figures for Delmy Exo. I should have her first run done and delivered to her later this week. I'd show some off to you, but they're just out of reach. Yeah, let's get this. Beard and hair color mixed up here. All right, Herobotic, he's got a big day tomorrow, so he's got to bounce. Thanks for hanging out, brother. We'll talk soon. I actually have a couple projects I want to work on with you, and I need to get my green screen up. I still owe you footage. All right, and let's see what we can do with our little stubby brush. Just this little one that I cut off here. See, Dr. Redacted says, do you want anything from Disney? Gonna go next week after 2 shows at TWE. What I want is for you to take me with you. It's been far too long since I've been to a Disney park, and it's going to be a little while. All right, coverage here. Yeah, it's going to take multiple coats for sure. We're using a pretty light color on a pretty dark primer. I actually don't know if I love this short little stubby brush I made. It'll be good for the beard, I bet. Yeah, we're going to take multiple coats here for sure. I'm also not sold on this little brush. I think the bristles are a little too stiff. Switch over. I just want one with a nice flat end, and this might do it. I'm super jealous. Anyone have any Disney parks questions for Redacted while he's on the Instagram chat? Because that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk Disney. Selfishly, that's what I want to do. Nicobene says, Perry, have you stolen a mascara wand yet for painting? Dry brushing hair with strokes made easier. No, I haven't. See, can Redacted bring me, though, says Nicobeans. I'll play magic with everyone, too. Everyone in the chat is now talking about magic cards. Dr. Redacted, this is what you've done. All right. Let's see, yeah, the coverage back on the hair is iffy at best. Yeah, I guess we'll get a loose coat on here and come back and try to hit it stronger after. Dr. Redacted says me and the missus will come strapped. Yeah, Doc and his wife to be are big Magic the Gathering players. Doc, when are you gonna have a T-shirt design that looks like the Dr. Redacted Magic the Gathering card? That's got to be in the works, right? Yeah, this paint is going to need multiple coats for sure. This is a bloodbath. Let's get what we can anyhow and hope for the best here. Yeah. Not super great coverage on the first coat, but that's alright. Frankly, I need a Magic style trading card. I completely agree. Anyone over in my chat do graphic design work? Have I ever asked that? Any of you want to design up a Magic the Gathering card for the good doctor? We're wheeling and dealing here, Doc. We're going to make something happen. That feels like a piece of merch that is really on brand for you now. Like it's definitely become a known part of your persona. Yeah, I may need to invest in a lighter primer color for the next figs. See if it makes the painting process a little bit easier with these light colors. Rye says I could try to make something work in Photoshop. That's a start. You might want to get into the good doctor's DMs there and make it happen, because I feel like that's a piece of merch he needs. Let's see, he says easy way out would be a copy token, but maybe a goblin token. He says blood token could work as well. Roanoke Spotting says hello. Hello. Oh, as I see, okay, I know you're one of my monster truck followers. Heck yeah, let's go. All my friends in the monster truck world, huge shout out. It is who I am. I am the human monster truck. Yeah, okay. You know what's nice is I'm putting this on pretty thin, so it's actually kind of drying as I go. So I might be able to get like some second coat stuff going on the first pass here. Let's see, Joey Nails, thank you for the bits. Just made a whole pasta meal to eat with this garlic bread, says Nickabeans. I'm jealous. I got to tell you, Nickabeans, I made pizza burgers for dinner. Real burger for me, Beyond Burger for my wife. Yesterday I spent a big portion of the day making sauce. We keep all the tomatoes and peppers from our garden that we don't use in the course of a summer. We freeze, and then I make my way through them until the next crop comes in. So I made a huge vat of sauce yesterday during the day, and tonight I did up some burgers where I garlic breadized the rolls, toasted them up real nice, and then put some mozzarella cheese on some burgers. Put some of the sauce on the burgers when it was done, instead of like a ketchup or a burger sauce. And then I made garlic parmesan fries to go with them. I was channeling my inner Applebee's, I think. Roanoke Spotting says very big into that industry. Hey, me too. Just off screen here, I got tons of toys that I make myself. Tons of the collection. Classic toys, some newer toys, some customs. Right now, I'm working on my wrestling figures that'll be sold at merch tables when I'm out wrestling. All right, we're going to call that an okay first pass on the paint. It's going to take another layer for sure. The coverage is not spectacular, but that's light colors on a dark primer. That's bound to happen. Dr. Redacted says, brother, gotta go. I love you. Love you too, bud. Be safe, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I am psyched. So psyched to have Dr. Redacted coming back to New England. Coming back to Blitzkrieg Pro. It's been quite some time since he's been at Blitzkrieg Pro, and I'm real psyched to have him back. Cody Brooks says, is anyone going to any wrestling shows this weekend? I'll be hanging out at Limitless Wrestling on Saturday, going up to see my buddy Joey Nails. See, Roanoke Spotting says, that's awesome. Not big into wrestling, but I saw that John Cena won WrestleMania 41 the other day. He did. Man, weird last run they're giving him. This is his retirement run. And, yeah, he won his 17th World Championship at WrestleMania. I like what they're doing. They're letting him be a heel on his way out. Something that he started as a heel and then never really got to Never really got to go back to it, even though there was a time where it would have worked for sure. They just pushed through and didn't do it, but they're letting him do it now, and it's working. I like that he's going to have. Clearly, they've set him up for a little run with Orton. That's revisiting a classic Cena feud from back in the day. And honestly, if for all the other faults of this little run, if we get one more Orton Cena match, I'm happy. That was a huge part of my childhood, not childhood, my college years was Cena Orton. I'm not nearly young enough for that to have been my childhood. Good lord. When I was a child, they were children. How old is John Cena? I know that he's markedly older than I am, but I don't know how markedly. Yeah, this brush is the good one for this. It holds its shape really well. The bristles are behaving nicely. I like this. I picked the right one. It took 2 tries, but we got there. Bobby Gilbert says Cena is 48. Cody says 47. All right. Well, I'm only 40 currently, so I'll take it. How old is Orton? That does mean that basically when I was a kid, Orton and Cena were kids. Like, you know, we, they would have been in high school while I was in elementary school. Oh, Bobby Gilbert says he'll be 48 tomorrow. Well, happy early birthday to John Cena, I suppose. Yeah, this dark primer is it looks nice on camera. It gives you a real good visual of everything. Everything reads real nice, but it is a bit of a pain to paint over with the light colors. Yeah, I may have to dig through my spray paints and see if I have a white primer just kicking around, because I think that's going to be easier going forward. It won't read as well on camera, but it'll mean fewer passes as we paint. And because I'm making a little army of these guys to sell, um, it'd be nice to not spend all my free time painting figures. At some point I got to edit the vlog. At some point I got to post on the socials. I got to work out, which is what I got to do when we're done here. Joey Nails, did you work out today? Checking in on you. This is me being responsible older vet. Orton's 45. Yeah, yeah. So Orton would have been a senior in high school when I was in the 6th or 7th grade. the fine detail work on these is a little bit stressful. It's not hard, it's just, it's so little. And it's like right in front of you, but if you rush it, the results are not great. I do wonder, I haven't run into Gabby in a little bit. I wonder if she's painted any of the gnome figures and had them on the merch table yet. All right, we're going to call that a first pass. Sort of get the idea, but that's definitely, we're going to be revisiting those colors for sure, getting those to actually dry up and look right on there. Let's see, how's this going? Is the white dry here? Yeah, I think we're dry. It means we can come back with that black and we can finish those legs. Let's go. What time we got? We got 1:41. Oh, I've run past the time I would like to run. Oh, but they're so close to done. Oh. Let's check with the old Twitch chat here. What are we thinking? Do we knock out the knees and boots here, or do we leave it and come back to fight another day? Maybe I'll have to stream again tomorrow. What do we think? I'd drop a poll in the chat, but I don't have the mental bandwidth to do that. Nicobene says, knock them boots. Yeah, I walked into that one. I really did. Let's see. This is still looking pretty good, so I'm gonna put a little more in here, and we'll do it. We'll get through a little bit more. Doesn't take much. One layer does the coverage I need. We'll put, like, again, just 1 or 2 drops. Joey Nails, I think, had left the stream already yesterday when I had to credit him that I started thinning some of the paint late in the stream. And I did find that if I thinned it just a little bit, 1, 2 drops of water, that's all, not much, I did find that it was working a little bit better. Now these are all different brands of paint, so different ones are going to behave differently. But I did find, I think the flesh color was a little bit too chunky, a little too thick when we were first starting. So Cody says, I'll never be mad at an extra PVV stream. I think we're going to have to, because I've been painting, all this painting has been 2 figures. I've got a tray of other figures behind me that are going to need to be painted, and more running on the machines presently. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of figure painting streams. I'm a big fan of doing this stuff on stream as opposed to off, and yep, that's that means there's going to be a few coming up here. All right, let's there we go. I only want a little on here. All right, we'll do the knee pads first because they're going to be a little bit more difficult. Bobby Gilbert says, what time tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know. It might be the normal time. Might be like middle of the day. I really couldn't tell you. I mentioned my wife has the week off, so sometimes it's up to her. I might end up out on a hike. Oh, Nicobene says she'll be at Rye's house tomorrow, so she'll try to tune in. That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Oh, I love the coverage this paint gives. This is my brand from now on. I'm going to switch all my paints over to this one brand. A lot of my paints, I think I've mentioned on a stream before, a lot of my paints were hand-me-down. I had an aunt. My aunt Beth was a full-time teacher out here in Western Mass, and then later in Connecticut, and I believe in New York for a while. And when she retired, she was moving out of state, and as a non-active teacher, didn't need all her teaching stuff anymore, and was able to gift a whole bunch of it to myself and my wife. All kinds of cool stuff: tools, paints, art supplies, a collection of animal bones because she was a science teacher. So shout out Aunt Beth. Yeah, we're getting there now. I'm really glad that I don't wear terribly complicated gear. Sounds like the perfect gift for me. It was great. We were helping her pack up and move at her place, and she was just it was a wholesale giveaway. It was, who wants this, who wants this, and we were just right place, right time, because she has a daughter, my cousin Emma, and her husband Ramon, who have two little kids who I'm sure would have loved a lot of this art stuff, but we happened to get dibs. It's just good luck on our part. But of course, I can assure you, and in my family, no child with a creative bone in their body ever goes wanting. All of the nieces, nephews, cousins, if they want to do some kind of art, if they want to play some kind of music, they get the instrument and they get the supplies. When I was a kid, I always had that stuff coming my way. My dad never bought me a crappy little learner guitar or anything like that. It was, let's get you the real instrument, because if you try it and it doesn't sound right and it sounds bad, you'll be discouraged. Let's just spend the money and get you the right thing. And boy, if that didn't end up working out well for me, I mean, I toured with the punk band for a couple years, so probably not the genre my dad had in mind necessarily, but he never complained. Yeah, this paint has real nice coverage. It sticks real well. One coat does it. Ah, a joy to work with. Flows off the brush in a really controlled manner. Look at that. That looks so nice. That was so easy. See, Rai says I want to do a tour photography gig at some point. Man, that sounds like a wild gig. I got to tell you. I have a cousin Adam who was tour manager for a pop punk band that was on the Disney label back around 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. A little band called oh god, what were they called? All Star Weekend was what they were called. And they were great. He gave me their album. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. I still listen to some of their stuff, even though they've been broken up for years. And the tour stories he had, he was like, man, he was young too. He was, 24, 23, maybe even younger. And he was like, man, it was it was wild. It was crazy. It was too much. I know when I was in my band touring, it was nothing like that because half the band was in their mid-teens, and then me and the lead singer were both straight edge. So not the most exciting stories per se. Not a lot of rock star lifestyle going on there. Um, yeah, I think Rye, you and Nickabeans should absolutely get a touring gig doing photography for a band. That would be sick. Honestly, I'd be pretty jealous. That sounds really fun. All right, before I start painting these boots, though, I want to rearrange the stuff on my drying rack so that I have somewhere I can set these and they won't be bumping into other stuff because these are going to need to hang now. They won't be able to stand anymore. That means I need 2 clips, one for each set of legs, and I do have them. All right, good. All right. Always think a couple steps ahead so you don't end up juggling parts in your hands. All right. Let's load up mostly the tip here. Now I just want to get this the top edge. Yeah, nice. We'll get that on both and then we'll work our way down. Yeah, I've not yet seen the lineup for the next grind show, but I am hoping the Canadians come down again. Every time they've been on the show, while they are certainly antagonists, they're so good and they're a blast to be around backstage. All right, that looks good. Now we can work a little bit faster here on the rest of this boot. I also really like the flow of this paint. It doesn't leave a lot of brush strokes. That might be in part because I thinned it out a little bit. Shout out Joey Nails for asking me about that and putting it in my head. So when I gave it a shot, it really did the trick. It was just what I needed in that moment. You never know where a good idea will come from. Don't write an idea off based on its source. Sometimes Joey Nails has a good idea. Rudy is just perfect in his look and character. Rudy? Wait, what was I talking about that came up? Maybe that wasn't related to me. All right, let's see. Yeah, that boot's done. Yes. Seeing some progress on these finally. We're only going to have the heads left to do after this. And the trunks, I suppose. I suppose I'll do something about the trunks rather than leaving them plain, unpainted. Oh, the Canadian guy. Yes, I always forget their characters and their names. Um, I'm terrible with names, so if it's someone I've only met a couple times, I will absolutely forget the name. So even though I've been on a few shows with them now and like done ring crew with them and hung at Rip's house with them, I forget their names. I feel bad about it. It does make me feel like I'm kind of a bad dude forgetting their names, but I definitely completely forgot. It's possible I never knew. I may have been told a shoot name when I was introduced and never. I didn't get to see most of their matches in person because I was busy working through my own match. But you know, I hear the feedback from others, and it's people I trust. All right, hang those up, and then we got these boots, and then we're gonna call it a stream. And I may actually be able to send us over to Johnny Torres' stream this time. Last night I completely forgot, wasn't really set up to do it, so I just didn't think it through. But tonight I think I'm going to transfer us over. And then I'm going to jump off and I'm going to go work out. I think I have an old TV down here that I think I finally got rigged up so that I can hook my laptop to it and watch wrestling during my workouts. Careful with these lines. Make it look like the top of a boot, not a bunch of brush strokes. Oh, did he end his live stream already? Someone double check that for me. I know he started a little early. I saw that he had gone live. Someone check his Instagram story, because usually if he ends early, he posts a thing. Oh, no, last night he did. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I hope he's still streaming tonight. I know he does longer streams because he's a better gamer than I am. All right, let's get a careful look at that. Heck yeah. I really can't tell you how much of a relief it is to work with this black paint after working with that flesh color before. Okay, Nicobene says he's on. Good, good. We'll definitely we'll raid Johnny Torres when we're done here. If you're watching along on the Instagram live, be sure to pop open Twitch and go check out Johnny Torres doing his live streams. He's a blast. One of my road dogs. One of the people I'm on the road with all the time. He's a day oneer. First day I walked into wrestling school, I looked in the ring. The two people in the ring were Jeremy Leary, currently the owner-proprietor of Blitzkrieg Pro, and Johnny Torres, currently really the voice of New England wrestling. All right, I think that is full coverage on that boot. Yeah, there we go. With the sock seam, we went with the detail. Looks good. All right. Hang him up so that he's all good. Hop over here. All right, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and call it on the Instagram live. If you're watching on Instagram, thank you for hanging out. I might be back again this week, might be back again next week. Whenever I'm in the workshop, I'll be on Instagram Live. See you later. There we go. We'll leave that there. And for the folks who are here, I'm going to scoot around over to get a little bit closer here. Hi. You can see all the mess of the workshop, my beautiful ceiling here. I am going to go ahead and transfer us over to Johnny Torres' stream. It'll take me just a second here. Everyone hang tight. And I'm going to... There we go. Here we go. I'm making it happen, guys. There we go. All right, we are going to hop right over to Johnny Torres' stream. Thank you all for hanging out, and I will see you over on Johnny Torres' channel. Catch you later.